Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I am proud of the red, white, and blue flag of the United States of America, the colors that never run. Here comes Kate Smith, and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, Patriots, call in. Good morning. And a good morning to you, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires. And don't forget, too, also Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. And right now, without further ado, we're going to skedaddle to the weather, and it's brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger. Long time no talk to. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, and they've got the best of rental of tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a job. Do you realize in what, 19 days? 19 days, it's going to be the first day of spring? They've got all the tools you need to get ready for spring and summer. Not sure what you need? Give them a call, 678-3122. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Welcome to the first day of March, and weather is going to be relatively mild. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today, a slight breeze out of the east, and a high near 44. Tonight, mostly clear skies, dropping down to 27. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 50 with an overnight low of 25. Pretty much the same for Wednesday, sunny skies, 52, 56 for Thursday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
All the tools and equipment you need right there at K&R Rental, and I really do appreciate their sponsoring our first weather forecast of the day. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway, and like I said, if you're not sure what you need, call them, find out. 678-3122, K&R Rental. Really, really good folks. By the way, also, I've got a great big pile of shirts that need to be taken to Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Holy moly, they're going to be shocked when I come staggering in the door. They're at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, and I'll guarantee you they do the best job in taking care of your clothes. Believe me, you've paid a lot of money for them. Take care of them. Take them to the best. Daryl's Cleaners. Kevin and Cindy, the whole crew serving you at Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Mighty good people. One other quick note I want to get on, and I'm going to have to retrain myself being gone for so long, and I want to give a great big shout out and thank you to Sharon and Gina and Sean. They covered for me while I was gone, and I am blessed, underline that word blessed, to have friends that can fill in like they did. Thank you very much. One other good word, and we'll be right with you, caller. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, 678-0459, the number to call. They open the door at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday, and it's the real truth when you hear this. They have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. Absolutely. And they've always provided warm winters and cool summers. They know, and they can help you with a very experienced staff. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. You get a hold of them today. Good morning, caller. How are you?
Is that me?
I hope so. Go ahead.
Welcome back. We missed you, but we got by very good. The menu today is chicken something. It's a new name I've never heard in all the brewing, but it's going to be good.
I love it. Joe, all they need to do is just pull up and go on inside and say, I want some of Joe Taylor's chicken something.
Yes. All right, have a good one.
God bless you, man. We'll send everybody over to the senior center. They are really good folks. We got to help support our seniors. And don't forget, Joe Taylor's Chicken Something is on the menu for today. Find out what it is. I know it's going to be good. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, great big morning to you and to Deanne.
Hello, my friend.
Hear your voice again.
Well, it's good to be heard. It's good to be back, and we're going to be taking on a lot of the social issues that other radio talk shows won't even touch. And after my 4 weeks of being gone, let me tell you something, Keith. I really feel like I've been blessed to get on the radio and utilize and exercise my free speech.
You know, I don't want to make fun of anybody or anything like that, but, you know, when Rush Limbaugh passed away, and we've been expecting that for some time, you know, what a great man he was. And in the 30 days you've been gone, we realize what a hole you've left behind.
Well, I don't plan on going anywhere for quite some time, and in regards to Rush Limbaugh, I want to just say this, and I don't want to dwell on it because so many people have taken so much time to discuss this. Rush Limbaugh was very, very important to my career. And I'm not going to delve into all the conversations with people that worked with and for him on the EIB network, etc. But I'm just going to say that he was very important to my career, and he is a cog in the wheel that can never be repaired or replaced. And I have the utmost respect for him when he was broadcasting, and I revere what he did for the radio and the talk show business. I think he will be always missed.
Well, there again, I respect the fact that you were able to go on for 3 hours and really make every minute of it entertainment. But you were truly missed. Sharon did a good job, and Gina is a real hoot. She's a classic.
Next time I talk to her, I'll say, may I talk to Miss Hoot?
Yeah, she just, you know, it's like I told Gina. I said, you're the only one I know that can talk as fast as you can, and I can understand every word of it.
There you go. Listen, I appreciate...
If she's going to tell somebody else, it wouldn't take very long, would it?
No, I'll tell you. Again, I want to thank Sharon and Gina and Sean for all they did. And I got to tell you, Keith, thank you. You and Nancy and all the listeners were missed, but we needed to get away, and it turned out to be very, very beneficial. Thank you. I appreciate your call. God bless you, man. Thanks.
You bet. ahead.
All right.
You and Deanne have a wonderful day.
No, we're working on it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I missed all you folks, and I want to bring you up to speed a little bit as to what happened, what didn't happen, why we left, etc. Every year for the last 10 years, as a matter of fact, we've gone to Arizona for some period of time, and yes, a lot of it was personal fulfillment of what I like to do. I like to go down and team rope, take the horses, and just be a part of the scenery down in Arizona. But this year it was also added for Deanne's health and Deanne's benefit. And we met some very fantastic doctors down in Arizona, and many of which, and one in particular, helped her to an nth degree. And I was glad that we took the trip. Yes, I know it was a burden on Sharon and Gina and Sean, but believe me, I appreciate all their help and what they did. And we came back, I think, with a much more, let's say, aggressive perspective. I had an opportunity to take one of my little surveys down there, and I kind of kept a rolling score. I wanted to leave it right at 100 people. 100 people. And I asked them in very simplistic terms, do you miss Donald Trump's administration and what they stood for, or do you like the policies and the socialistic extremes that are being forced upon us by Joe Biden? I know the question's jaded, but I wanted to hear what they had to say. Out of the 100 people that I talked to down there, and they were of varied backgrounds, lawyers, doctors, farmers, ranchers, business owners, etc., educators, I want to make sure and point that out. They came from all walks of life and from all over the country, be it Minnesota, or be it Arkansas, be it California, be it Montana, wherever. And 98 people out of the 100 said they are absolutely sickened. That's one of the words, some of which, other words, I'm a little hesitant to throw on the air, but they were sickened by what Biden and Harris and this administration are doing. Two out of the 100, a husband and wife, said that, they thought Joe Biden could walk on water. Oh, he's going to be such a blessing. So there you have it, 98-2. People are absolutely thinking that putting Biden and Harris and this administration in office is fraudulent and the worst mistake that this country has ever made in our history. Their words, and I chime in and agree. Your thoughts are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, do not under any way, shape, or form forget about our friends Denny's Restaurant. I missed Denny's Restaurant while I was gone. I'm not kidding you, man. Denny's Restaurant with Thomas and the crew. Oh, yeah, baby, 611 North Overland in Burley. The best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time, and all the desserts. And they've got another location serving you at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, I don't care. I love breakfast, and they've got all the different breakfast menus. They've got all the lunch menus. Delicious food served by wonderful, wonderful people at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Want to also give a great big shout out. And I miss talking about all these folks. I really did. Great big shout out to our friends over at Dino Septic Service. Hello, Dinos. And, of course, don't forget the best of septic tank pumping jobs you don't want to do. Backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned out, and ready to roll. Septic inspections, all of this and more. With Dino Septic Service, believe me, they know what they're doing, and they can help you. Numbers to call, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638, Twin Falls, 735-8281. No kidding, the best with the latest of equipment, Dino's Septic Service. We took that survey, And I was kind of surprised, to be honest with you. I thought there'd be more naysayers against Donald Trump. But honestly, the people, 98 to 2, came out in favor of the retention and or the restoration of putting Trump back in office. Absolutely. Calls are welcome. And in 39 days, I want you to think about this. 39 days, when I figured this up the other day, that's how long this new administration has been in office. Now, the evil changes to our country are destroying our country. I'm just going to mention some of them. Energy costs are skyrocketing. I don't care what they said on the national average for gasoline this morning. They said it was at $2.72 a gallon. Let me tell you something. We paid, before we left, we were paying for diesel $2.28. We paid on the average coming back $3.24. Almost $1 a gallon more for diesel, just to appease the greenies. And immigration. Here's something else we got to concern ourselves with. Illegal alien immigration and the appeasement with a wink and a nod going to 30 million illegals that Biden's going to let slide in and stay. Assault on the First Amendment. This is something I really want to talk about over the next couple of days. Free speech, baloney. There is no such thing as free speech anymore because it's going to cost you. If you criticize the left loons and their vileness, they will try to destroy and cancel you, and I expect they probably will come after me. But we're going to stick it right in their eye and say, take a long walk home. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Speaking of First Amendment, yesterday I heard from some people someone that just got back from Washington who had been attending the sessions. They've even got the House, I don't know if they'll get past the House, but the House has some legislation pending that will restrict religious freedoms.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rodney, you'd better buckle up and sit back deep in the seat and hold on to the buck rein, because I'll guarantee you when that chute gate opens, it's going to be a wild, wild ride. What the Biden administration...
They ain't going to curtail how I worship God except over my dead body.
Well, and I respect and appreciate that, and that's how we all should feel, because our worshiping of our good Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is absolutely not going to be impugned or stopped by some baggy-suited, three-piece suit, wingtip shoed politician. I won't let it happen. I'm not going to do it.
Amen.
God bless you. God bless you, man. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'll see you as soon as you get the lunch bunch going.
We are going to be listening. It's not going to be long, I'll tell you that. Thank you so much.
I'll be listening.
All right, buddy.
Later.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Caller, I'm here. Please go. You're on the air. Hello? Sean, do we have a caller there, or did they hang up?
They hung up.
Okay, caller, call back, please. I'd love to talk to you. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we need to be worried about with this administration. Free speech, yeah, they're going to try to cancel anybody. They're even trying, listen to this. You can't make this garbage up. And that's basically what the Biden-Harris administration is comprised of, garbage. They're even trying to stop, stifle, and curtail Dr. Seuss. I'm not making this stuff up. In Virginia, they're banning the books of Dr. Seuss. The insane left that has the brain cell of a pea says that these books are racist and that they have racial undertones in the books. Now, if anybody out there in the audience can show me a cartoon depiction from one of the books, or read to me a verse from one of the books, the Dr. Seuss books, that is racist and racial, please call me. I've never heard of such lunacy. You know, when you think back to our childhood, and I mean this. Think back to our childhood, those of us that are getting a little long in the tooth and long in the earlobe, whether it was the Howdy Doody show. Remember Princess Winter, Spring, Summer, Fall? Remember her? And remember Captain Kangaroo? And remember, now they're going after Sesame Street. Everything in our society is either based upon racism or white privilege. When are we going to put the boot down hard and say enough of this is enough of this? When? Are we going to let this go on forever? Are we going to let people just cancel things out? They're trying to take away George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and others of our great history and heritage of this United States. I'm going to start, excuse me, on this program saluting these people. I don't care. Please underline these words. I don't care if George Washington was a plantation owner and had, quote-unquote, slaves. I don't care if Thomas Jefferson had the same and others of their ilk. I don't care. It was, think about this, an accepted practice of the times. In every generation, every different decade or multiplicities of decades, there has been something going on in the world that today is not acceptable. I can't change the past. I don't want to change the past. I salute the people that have given their blood, sweat, and tears, and in many occasions their lives, for this, the greatest country in the world. In the world. Ever. Ever. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, I'm back, and I want to talk to you. I've missed you folks. Thank you. Give us a jingle. I really quick want to acknowledge a big thank you to Lorna Arbogast, and she's a tremendous lady, just a really, really nice lady, and for her gifts that she brought by the house. Thank you so much. And then also, yesterday I understand that Crystal Martin had her birthday, so happy birthday to you, Crystal Martin. There you go. And I'll bet old Dougie, he got the credit card out. I'll bet he did. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I was listening to you, and you were talking about fuel prices on your vacation trip. I had to jump out of the truck, but I've been doing some driving, over towards Colorado way and through Wyoming, and Cheyenne actually was up to $3.45 a gallon, $3.41 a gallon.
Yep.
And over by Rock Springs, it was about the same. Whereas you say at the first of the year, it was real close to $2 a gallon if you could, or less than $3 a gallon. If you found the right place.
Yeah.
You looked around a little bit. Now it just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And I guess it's going to come down to, it's going to cause everybody's prices everywhere. The supermarket, everywhere. The prices are going to go up, and it's just because the cost of transportation itself is going up due to the fuel.
Well, and there's one group of people, Riley, that cannot take this going up attitude on fuel, and that's our seniors on fixed incomes, fixed budgets, etc. And my heart bleeds for them. It does, because I am one of them now because of my age. And even though I'm still working, it's absolute lunacy to think that we're looking at these fuel prices going up and up to appease the greenies in our society and go with green energy. You know, the simplistic fact is, whether it's all the tractors, whether it's all the harvest trucks, whether it's all the combines, or whether it's all the swathers, whether it's all the 18 or 24 wheelers going up and down the interstate to deliver goods and services, or whether it's somebody involved in sales. Energy has got to remain at a relatively economic value and price, or people are not going to be working and people are going to be going broke. That's the simple fact of it, and the Biden-Harris administration is not smart enough to understand that.
I agree with you. You talk about the green, so-called green energy. there was an ad that I found on YouTube, because I don't do Facebook anymore, and I was, had an ad on there for the all-new electric truck, semi-truck
Yeah.
tractor that had the horsepower and everything's equivalent to a diesel or better, but the talk about the radius was 264 miles on an 80% charge, and it takes about 16 hours to get that 80% charge. Well, now, my friend, I can do 600 miles in a day.
Yeah.
200 miles, 264 miles is nothing for me.
Think of,
Just a flip of the coin.
yeah, think about the goods and services and the food. The food is the number one thing I'm concerned about, because people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that has the combined brain power of a burned out light bulb, they don't think about how food is going to be processed and distributed to the millions upon millions of stores for human consumption. How's it going to get there?
Well, the other thing they don't think about is the minimum wage. That's another thing that's sticking under my saddle. They want to up the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Well, that's a burr under my saddle for the simple fact no one should tell me how much I got to pay somebody.
That's right.
And the other thing is, I've never worked for somebody that was broke or poor. And the third most important is, what about our seniors?
Yep.
Yeah, you're going to up the minimum wage to $15 an hour due to cost of living expenses and such, but they're not doing diddly squat to help our seniors.
Amen. Amen.
They'll take money away from them. That's
Yep.
a bunch of crap. If they want to actually be philanthropists and help out for the better cause, then they would look at working with the Social Security system and getting our older folks taken care of, and take care of that issue first. And before going to other countries and inviting them here, they would go and look at our own inner cities who need the help, who need people to pick them up off their feet, not give them a handout, but give them a hand up, and get their lives going straight before they started bringing in all these other people we don't need.
Amen. Riley, I've missed your calls. Thank you very much, my dear friend. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Be safe. Enjoy the sunshine.
I will. I will. Thank you very much. I did enjoy the sunshine. I did enjoy all the benefits of being in the southern climes of Arizona. I don't think we saw one day where it really got below 63 or 64, I think it was. And some of the days were rattling the cages of 80 and 81. Oh, yeah, I did enjoy the heat. I'm going to give away some cookies right now. I'm in a generous mood, and so are the folks at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, right on the square, the Best of restaurant. Oh, you'll never leave there hungry. Best of bakery, all the cookies and the pies and the different desserts and the wedding cakes, and oh my goodness, it's all delicious. You can win a dozen cookies right now if you'll answer the right answer to this question, and then call them at Sophie's and let them know when you'll be by for your cookies. What past kids program, TV show, started with, "Hey kids, what time is it?" And tell us what they said. What past kids TV show started with, "Hey kids, what time is it?" Call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call quickly, and you might be the winner of the cookies. So give me a jingle on the landline right now, and tell me what TV kids show started with, "Hey kids, what time is it?" Give me a call quickly, real fast, and you'll be the winner, okay? Calls are welcome, 436-2244. Caller, good morning, you're on the air.
Was it Captain Kangaroo?
No, it was not, and thank you for your call. Appreciate that. Nice try. Hey, kids, what time is it? That's how they started the program. What was the name of that program? Good morning, caller, you're on the air.
Good morning. It's Howdy Doody time.
Okay, now I'm going to put you on the spot. You have the right answer, but I'm going to ask you this, and I don't mean to embarrass you. How old are you?
I'm 65.
Okay, so you should be able to remember this. Can you recite the theme song, the first 4 lines of the theme song?
No, I can't.
Well, you mean I got to...
Early in the morning.
I got to give you cookies. Here it is. It's howdy doody time. It's howdy doody time. Buffalo Bob Smith and Howdy Too say howdy doody do to you. There you go. What's your name? So we can get the winner over to Sophie's.
Anderson.
Is this Casey?
Yep.
Well, what's your favorite cookie, by the way?
I kind of like oatmeal raisin cookies.
Ooh. Oh, interesting choice. Well, why don't you call Sophie's and tell them that you're going to be coming over for your cookies, okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. And don't forget, learn the words of Howdy Doody and call me back tomorrow. We're going to take an exam on this.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Howdy Doody. Those were the days that probably we would all like to review again. Yeah, I know you say, well, go back in time. That's not being progressive. Well, I don't want to be progressive under the auspices and meaning of the word today, but everybody in this silly, stupid, cancel culture is up for review right now by these mind delinquent people that are saying, oh, well, that might be perceived as racist. We've got to cancel that. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Seth.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I was just thinking about our nation capital, Washington, D.C. It seems to me that I see a transformation taking place in our nation capital. It reminds me of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes.
Could I be far out, Seth? Could I be far out?
With
all the things that's going on out there?
Yeah, I lost a little bit of what you said, sir, so repeat that again, please.
I see the transformation of our national capital becoming more and more like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yes, it is. It seems like if we continue in this steps, Sodom and Gomorrah have a good case against God.
I always appreciate your calls, and what's going on in Washington, D.C. with the so-called representatives and senators of the various states is deplorable. These people should be ashamed, but more so than anything, we, the people, should be telling them to get all their butts out of the leather chairs and go do something.
It seems like they've forgotten the Constitution where it begins with we, the people.
Yes.
I think they've skipped that.
Amen.
We the people. I think we should start changing our laws. I think the states should do what Twin Falls and Idaho are doing right now with the Second Amendment.
Yes.
We need to amend a lot of things. I think it's our responsibility now.
Absolutely.
Because Washington is letting us down a wrong path.
You know, you and I have never met. But I want to tell you something. Someday, somehow, we've got to shake hands and sit down and have a cup of coffee. I like you. Thank you for all your input on the show.
You know what, Sir Bill? I had 2 brothers in the armed services. They were both drafted in 65. One brother of mine was drafted in April, and the other one was drafted in August. One ended up in Fort Hill, and I tell you what, I'm very proud of both my brothers, and they keep telling me that the Veterans Administration is changing, and they're afraid for that.
Yes, absolutely.
They were born. My brother was born in 1945. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
He was born in 1945, and the other one was born in 1943.
Oh, my.
Yeah, there was one brother was born in 1943, and the other one was born in 1945, and they were both drafted. And you know what's really? It took the FBI to find them.
Wow.
Because we were migrant farm workers.
Well,
mailing address was general delivery.
let me just say this, and I've got another call. Any time that we can possibly get together, and Sean, there's a little feedback on the line if you could help me with that. I'd like to get together and get to know you personally face to face instead of on the radio. God bless you for your call. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir. What a nice man. I've got to meet him sometime. Caller, please stand by. I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody about Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. They've got the big dudes, all the Doosan wheel loaders and the excavators, and they got all the equipment for the lifting and the digging and the pushing and the carrying. And the grading and the leveling. I'm telling you what, all three locations. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location. They got a great big, huge inventory, and if you're not sure how to run the equipment, they got a big sandbox out behind. They'll teach you. Barry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. Welcome back.
Hey, my friend Tony, how in the world are you?
If I felt any better, I wouldn't know how to handle it.
That's the man. All right, go ahead. What do you think, Tony?
Well, I'm thinking the American people really have to be informed about what's going to happen to our economy when there's not enough money to support all these undocumented insurgents coming in here. I think there's going to be a war in our streets, and there'll be more crime than just about anything else because of these undocumented insurgents and no money to support them.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at an open border situation per se right now, with the Biden administration giving a wink and a nod to maybe as many as 30 million illegals that are going to be coming into this country, plus more behind the dark curtain of the nightfall. I'm just scared about why the American public is accepting this. I mean, have we reached the point that we're a huge sponge and we're just going to accept everything the government throws at us? No, we need to revolt. Use that word carefully. We need to revolt and throw these people out of office through the voting boxes, everything legal. We need to let these people know that their days are numbered and they don't have that many left.
Well, the American public has things pretty soft in this country. Everything is being done for them. The only thing they're interested in is football, baseball, basketball, and the rest of it. And I'll tell you what, the enemies of the country are keeping an eye on the American people because they will not be willing to fight for this country.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about if this country gets into a national cesspool, a problem with another country or even within itself. How many good people are going to stand up and say enough is enough? I'm worried about it too, Tony. I really am.
I see a change coming in Twin Falls here right now.
Well, I think you're seeing a change all over the country. And after watching CPAC over the last couple of days, I say bring it on. I'm absolutely in favor of maybe the Republicans getting a backbone. Gee, that'd be something new and novel, and standing up and fighting back.
Well, I don't know if that's going to happen. Like I say, we've got a spoiled society here, and the younger generation are looking forward to socialism and communism, but they don't realize once they join that club, their freedom is gone.
Yeah. Once you join that club, that's what it is. You're not going to be allowed to do and or say anything. Tony, I hope you and Mary are doing well. I think the world of you two. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Zeb.
God bless you, man. Thanks. Caller, I'll take your call before the weather. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, welcome back.
Thank you.
I hope you're all rested up. You know, this country, they're not undocumented. They're illegal aliens.
That's right.
I know that's not politically correct, but that's what they are.
That's right.
We're going to open up the borders, let all these people that have all kinds of diseases, including leprosy, drug-resistant tuberculosis, and it's just incredible that, you know, a country can't exist unless you have borders. And, of course, the duplicity of the Democrats, of course, they say, well, fences don't work. Well, you can't. If I fly back to Washington, D.C. and want to go to the Capitol, I couldn't do it right now. Nobody can. It's ridiculous.
Would you, wait a minute, Adrian.
Venezuela, you know.
Adrian, wait a minute. Let me jump in. I want to ask you a question right there. Can you give me a real reason, and do it short and quick because I've got another call and I got to get the weather on. Why is the National Guard en masse still back in D.C. What's going on here, Adrian?
Well, they've militarized this whole deal about BLM and tearing up the cities and so forth. This is all about creating a national police force, and that's what it's about, whether it's the National Guard or federal troops of some sort. It's all about taking away our guns, making sure that the politicians are safe back there in their legislative chambers. But everything boils down to destroying our businesses here. This whole, as a scientist, this whole COVID-19 is not any more serious than the flu. In fact, it's less serious for the young people, the ones we should have followed. You've probably heard the governor from South Dakota. I mean, she did everything right. And, of course, she was criticized, and they have the lowest unemployment. Their economy is booming. She never shut the state down, just used individual responsibility. Our governor, 334-2100, we still have some restrictions, and he won't come out. They say, we don't have near the restrictions we have, but we still have restrictions, and people have it in their mind that they're going to die if they get COVID-19.
I got to run. I've got the weather forecast, and I appreciate your comments. I would appreciate if you call me after the program. I've got a question for you, and I'd like to get you and your answer. Thank you so much, Adrian. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you. Caller, I know you're waiting, but just give me 60 seconds. I've got to get a weather forecast in here, and I promise you're up next. I promise. I won't lie to you there. Hey, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. What did he say? What did he say? You couldn't hear me? Well, that's all the more reason that you need to call Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. 312-0957. Don't miss what's going on around you, and don't keep saying, what? No, call them today. They can help you. Individualized treatment for your hearing health needs at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. The number to call, they're right behind the Minidoka County Hospital, across from the emergency room, 312-0957. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Welcome to the first day of March, and weather is going to be relatively mild. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today, a slight breeze out of the east and a high near 44. Tonight, mostly clear skies, dropping down to 27. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 50 with an overnight low of 25. Pretty much the same for Wednesday, sunny skies 52, 56 for Thursday. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Reyes.
I can stand that weather. Oh, it sounds good. I'll tell you what, to leave 80 degrees and come up here over the last couple of days, whoa, whoever said fat people don't get cold? I'll tell you that. Hey, the weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Don't forget, unique treatment plans for you. Get a hold of them today. Number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. Caller, you're very, very polite and patient. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
They hung up.
Well, maybe they weren't so polite and patient then. Okay. Call back 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The incompetency of what the Biden administration is doing, and did you know, and I'm not making this up, you can check it out, 9% of the money they want to put with this COVID relief bill of the trillions of dollars, 9% is for the furthering and the support of the COVID relief and the shots and everything. Everything else is going to all the little earmarked goodies that the Democrats want to put in this bill. I mean, like hamsters running on a treadmill. Holy cow. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, like a tunnel from San Francisco to Silicon Valley for all of the elites out there.
Well, it's good to hear from you too.
Hi, sir. How you been?
Well, not as costly as you, because I understand it was Crystal's birthday yesterday, and I would imagine the old credit card got a real big thump.
It did. Well, it did Saturday.
I see.
I took her and her brother and sister-in-law. We all went out to dinner. I treated her like a queen, like she is.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I try to do that every day.
Oh, my gosh. Are you buttering the toast on both sides?
Yes, sir, I Yeah. But, you know, what's going on in this Biden administration is going twice as fast as anybody thought.
That's right.
That they would even go. And I've noticed the fuel prices, like you say, they're going up. They're going up faster than Biden's vote count at 2:30 in the morning.
There you go.
I mean, and President Trump's speech at CPAC was awesome.
Yep.
I like the way he says what he thinks and what he feels.
I tell you what, here's something for you to mull over, and then we've got another call, but I want you to mull this over and give me your response. Over the last month of being gone, I had a chance to visit with many, many, many people from various states. And I have arrived at a consensus that it is also shared by me that I think I can tell you who the next presidential team will be for the GOP and the Republican Party. Who do you think I'm going to say, my friend?
President Trump and Kristi Noem.
No. I think you are going to be seeing a grooming of Ron DeSantis from Florida and Kristi Noem from South Dakota.
Well, that would be a great one also.
Yes.
But the people in Florida won't like that because they want him to serve 2 terms down there and then go to president because he's doing such a good job.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. DeSantis showed that he's tough. DeSantis showed that he will stand up for the rights of his people in his state, much the same as he would for his people in this United States. And I didn't think he had the backbone that he has shown for the state of Florida. On the other side of that coin, with South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, that is one woman that you don't want to mess around with.
No, she'll tell you how she feels, what she thinks, and if you don't like it, well, that's your problem. At least you know where she stands.
Bingo. And I think this is going to be the grooming factor. I think those two, I think Trump is going to be the promoter, and I think DeSantis and Noem will be the recipients.
I think a good possibility there, and that would be a great combination. But you know one thing, you know that we're circling the hole in the toilet bowl when everybody is all upset about the gender of a plastic potato.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot believe the stupidity that's in our society. I look at these people with total disdain, the liberal left, because they have the capacity, the brain power capacity of a bicycle spoke. They're dumb people.
Well, quit insulting those bicycle spokes. They hold people up.
I'm sorry, you're 100% right.
But, no, I mean, it's terrible. It's got to be exhausting to be offended by everything.
I just don't see how it goes back to kind of the old adage, and I've got to hurry here, Doug, real short. How high is up? You've heard that. How high is up? Well, you wonder how dumb these people can be.
Well, like that story I told you about the 2 guys looking over this railing down into this big hole, and he hollers down there and says, "Hey, we're building a skyscraper. You got the plans upside down."
Oh, get out of here. I love that one. Thank you very much, Doug. Take care.
Hey, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. We'll eat there and leave with a full tummy, a full heart.
I'm still chuckling. Sorry about that. Caller, real quick, you're on the air. Go ahead, please. I've got time for one call, and then I've got to do a commercial. Oh, well, you're good at saying that. You're an expert. You ought to be on one of those tapes for the telephone company that says they hung up. Okay. All right. Thank you. Caller, real fast. I've only got a minute. 1 minute, and I'm going to have to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, like I said before you left, we need to somehow hold Crapo and Risch Fulcher accountable for what's going on back there. I mean, Crapo, he's working with the senator who ran for president out of Minnesota to stop robocalls.
Yeah.
That is the extent of his activity. He doesn't call out the fact that the election... Was the election stolen? Yes. We need to hear it from Crapo and Risch. What are they going to do to stop this agenda? We're not going to get anything from McConnell. I tell you what, and then Simpson breaching the dams, I'm going to breach his jaw.
I'll tell you what. I tell you.
Yeah. Now be careful. We don't make threats on the program. I know that the idiocy and incompetency.
I realize, but think about how infuriating it is. You just goes crazy. And then yesterday I heard the speech, and what's going on with the price of fuel, and the insanity, and more turbines. And Texas is over-turbined. And here we got natural gas, which is clean, pure, and works. We don't want to use it because ultimately we don't want to use anything that might work because we really do just want to destroy America.
I think you're 100% right on that. Randy, always good to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Want to remind everybody, and it's a real treat for me to come back and visit about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Oh, my goodness sakes, these people are the best at what they do, and they know all about all the tires. They know all about all the brake service. They know all about everything that you need for the very best and safest of your driving. I urge you to stop in and see your real close to you neighbors, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Whether it's Twin Falls, whether it's Buell, whether it's Jerome, whether it's Rupert, whether it's Paul, whether it's Burley, I urge you to stop in and see them today because they really care. They come at a high lope to serve you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. You stop in and see them today. Got to run to the news. Well, for me, that's kind of an oxymoron. But we're going to be back in about 7 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. Don't you go away. God bless. Have a great day. Wow, I've had so many nice people call and say, nice to have you back. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Zeb at the Ranch on this Monday, March 1. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best in tires and service. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, this good word for our friends at Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, they are always at your disposal. I mean, hey, you better call and get on the route service, and it's so easy. Call them up and say, hello, Western Waste Services. How can we help you? And you tell them, hey, I'd like to get on the route service, and once a week come by with your big truck, get our garbage, and I'll wave goodbye. It's easy. 734-6969. These folks are the best in taking care of your garbage. Western Waste Services. You give them a call today. Want to also give a great big shout out to some really good friends of mine and yours at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. We cannot wait. I say we, Deanna and I cannot wait to start up again this week over there with the exercises to help both our legs, our knees, and everything. We're getting old. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick and the crew, my goodness, the number to call, make an appointment, let them help you. 678-1191. All the great physical therapists, all the exercises, the hydrotherapy pool. Oh, I'm telling you, these people are good. Helping you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. One final word, and then I'm going to go to my buddy back in D.C., and that's, of course, Hanson Mortuary. I want to remind you, Joel Heward, the manager, his family, and his staff, always serving you and your family in a real time of need. When there's the passing of a loved one, believe me, it's just so tumultuous, and you're not sure what needs to be done. Stop, take a big breath, call them, and they can and will help you at 436-5636. That number number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, 710 6th Street. And don't forget, too, that they always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort with the highest ethical standards. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, and boy, do I need to talk to him this morning and get my dauber up off the floor after listening to all the news for the previous 39 days of this Biden-Harris administration. Nothing good is coming out of this administration, and we are now going to talk to a man that knows all about what's going on and what might happen, and that's the president of Americans for Limited Government, my friend, Rick Manning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm nervous. I got to tell you, Rick, your friendship and your involvement in this program has been such an asset to us. But in the last 39 days, whether it's energy costs that are skyrocketing, whether it's 30 million illegals given a wink and a nod to stay here, whether it's the assault on the First Amendment, the assault for the Second Amendment, the defilement of morality with Biden's Equality Act, I mean, the list goes on, and all of that in just 39 days.
Yeah, it's a cavalcade of crazy, and we only have about 1,200 more left. So we're looking at a big problem in that there does not appear to be any break, B-R-A-K-E, within the Biden administration itself. They talk about tolerance and being open-minded and the like, and yet it appears as though while they are studiously diverse in terms of their appearance, they are monolithic in terms of their thought, and that's dangerous. It is I remember the Democrats being so proud of Republican appointees who not only would push back against President Trump, but would actually obstruct his policies. And those are, they said those people, sent them bouquets nonstop through the media, and while keeping them all, of course, not private and keeping the names silent. Sent them plenty of bouquets, but in this particular administration, no bouquets for dissent, no bouquets for anything resembling rationality or any call for the Biden. He says unity, but he means conform and give in, succumb to what they're trying to do, and it's dangerous. Fortunately, it's, and I say this in that. There is the power of the purse. There is the capacity for Congress to say no, to defund, and some of the senators and, truthfully, some of the House members. Remember, Nancy Pelosi only has a 5-vote majority. Some of those House members on the Democrat side are going to be should be forced to make a decision as to whether or not they're going to fund this crazy. And if the Congress says we're not funding it, we're prohibiting it from occurring through the appropriations process, then the administration is hamstrung. So that's one of the things Congress can do. And, of course, the courts can actually come out of their stupor and actually get to work and start defending the U.S. Constitution, although that might be too much to hope in the John Roberts era where he spends all his time on his back with his feet in the air.
We the people, those famous 3 words are being totally ignored. It's our government. It's our country, and majority is supposed to be ruled. Right now, I feel like we're just being pushed into a corner. We're having the nails pushed through the side of the door to the wall, and we can't get out. We can't escape. Our voices are not being heard. Forced closures of businesses and the idiocy of pay more, spend more of money we don't have, including paying federal workers $1,400 a week because they can't work and they got to stay home with their kids. I mean, the insanity is overwhelming.
The insanity is overwhelming. You know, think about this. They're going to give everybody who makes under $150,000 in joint income $1,400, a check for $1,400 if they ever pass the COVID bill, which I hope they don't, by the way. But they're going to give all one time $1,400. But federal workers are going to get $1,400 extra a month, or a week rather. And here's the dirty little secret. Federal workers have been getting paid this whole time. Federal workers have been getting paid this entire time. They have, I can tell you, based on the streets of D.C. and the streets on the Beltway, for the last year, they haven't been actually going to the office. Some of them might be working from home, but I think that's based on what we're seeing in terms of turnaround on various projects that need to get done or that they normally work on. I think that's pretty rare that they're actually going to working from home. At least it's kind of hard to measure federal workers and their work level because they don't work all that much when they're in the office either, so it's kind of hard to balance it. But they are the single highest paid group of people in America in terms of overall. They get it's the reason why counties surrounding Washington, D.C. are the highest, are the most wealthy counties in America. You know, absent Westchester and a couple of others, by and large, you look at wealthiest counties in America, and you look at the Beltway around D.C., and they're in every single one of them's in the top 10. So you end up with a very, very wealthy constituency, all based on federal pay, and they can't be fired, and they don't have to work all that hard. So, yeah, let's give them extra money.
It just makes no sense to me whatsoever. We are living in such a turned upside down society. We're cancel culture, and I'd like to have an opportunity to have a couple of those bozos on my program so I could address them. I'd like it to be face to face to find out what kind of mental capability they really have. This cancel culture of getting rid of everything and transitioning away from everything, this is absolute cancerous chaos that's got to stop. How do we stop this?
I think the way this gets stopped is people as a whole just say this is absurd, and that will show up in polling. That will show up in it'll show up in what politicians actually care about is their re-election numbers for 2022. I think that it's that perhaps the symbol for the new Democratic Party ought to be Mr. Potato missing parts. So Mr. Potato Head ought to be their symbol, because it is exactly what they're all about. The woke culture. It declares war on Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
I mean, so it shows the insanity all in one visual, and people understand that. Unfortunately, people don't read 1,000-word, articles that explain it. They don't read 500-word articles that explain it. They look at memes, and the new symbol of the Democratic Party is genderless potato head, which I don't actually. I didn't know that part was included. So it's a really strange world that we're living in. But yeah, I think mocking them will send a message. And quite honestly, 16 Democrats who are currently serving are in districts that President Trump won, even with all the shenanigans. Okay, so President Trump was the winner in 16 of those districts. The Democrats have a 5-vote majority. What that tells you is, on any given issue, there are 16 members of the House of Representatives who are in grave danger by voting for crazy. And that's what we have to do, is we have to force them to deal with that reality and decide if they want to be a member of Congress again. Now, that requires the Republicans in Congress standing up and fighting, and which is a novelty. But Republicans in Congress have to stand up and fight and force those 16 Democrats to have to decide, are we going to vote for crazy, or are we going to try to survive an election? Because if they vote for crazy, they will lose in 2022. The question is, what damage do they do in the interim?
Yeah.
And that's the danger point here, is the damage that's going to be done between now and then.
Well, a perfect example that I want you to elaborate on a little bit, because I was blessed with a son and a daughter that did very well athletically and academically. But in regards to my daughter, if she were in high school and or college today, I'd be very, very fearful for the stupidity and the disgusting defilement of morality with Biden and Harris and their Equality Act, which will allow transgender men, underline men, to be allowed on women's sports teams and allowed to use the same locker rooms. This is insanity that's going on in this country.
Yes, it is. And we focus on the athletic side of it, where scholarships, athletic scholarships are at stake. And in fact, the entirety of Title IX in women's sports is at stake. And we focus on that because it's so obvious. But you know what the part that's obvious to me is? When you have a middle school boy who's claiming transgenderism, and he's in a 6th grade, 7th grade gym class, saying and showering with the 6th and 7th grade girls, many of whom are just starting their periods, are most vulnerable part of their life in terms of being just kind of not knowing what's going on and vulnerable. And they're going to be subjected to boys in their locker room. That's the reality. And they're going to have to pretend that those boys can have periods too, because that's what's been put forward in terms of the latest and greatest in terms of the pretend world we have to live in. And and the damage we're doing to those little girls is incredible. It's beyond comprehension, the damage we're doing, and the deliberate damage. All to bow to. I don't even know what they're trying to bow to, except for to destroy everything.
Yeah.
And in destroying everything, they don't care who gets hurt. They don't care what people end up being scarred for life because of. Because ultimately, this is about complete and total destruction of society. That is what it is. They don't even make bones about it, and a lot of the Republicans are afraid to stand up to it. The Equality Act is an act of insanity, and it's an act of cultural suicide, and we have to say no to it.
On the other side of the coin, you were talking about the young girls, but I caught a segment on television this weekend that was a heartbreaker in regards to women's shelters, especially around the United States and Canada, that now are being forced to open their doors to these transgender sickos that come in under the guise of being, well, I used to be a man, but now I'm a woman. And here are these women in the shelters that are trying to get their lives and their minds back in order after a bad marriage or something that happened, and that's why they're in these shelters. And now they are being forced to say, yeah, well, in the bed next to us, we have to accept men. This is absolutely so sick, I hate to even talk about it.
The reason we have shelters is because the sad fact is that some women are physically abused to such an extent that they are not able to be in an environment for a while where there's a man, because they have to get renormalized. They just need a break. That is a reality. then to interject men, biological men, into that circumstance is evil. It's just there's no. I mean, what the whole thing is. I mean, it's kind of hard to pick which is the greater evil. At least the biological women who are in the shelter are adults. They're not sixth graders, not 12-year-old girls. They're not 13-year-old girls. They're not 15-year-old girls. They're they're just people, but they're adults, and those people who run the shelters have a voice, and they need to be fighting like crazy to keep the integrity of their shelter, and that may mean crossing over the normal politically correct boundaries that they, quite honestly, have supported in the past, and they're going to have to grow up and figure it out and fight back. Because at least they have a voice. Most of those shelters are supported by wealthy people in the communities. They're supported by their county commissions. They're supported by a lot of people with power. And they need to go to those people with power and say, no, this is antithetical. You can't do it. If you want to set up a separate shelter for people who are transgender, go ahead and do it. But if that's what if you want to do, spend the money to do that. But they're not coming here. They have to draw a line in the sand and defend their clients. If they're not willing to do that, then they shouldn't be in that business. I think it's terrible that that's occurring, and that is what is occurring. But I think that they have a far greater voice if they're willing to exercise it. And if they exercise that voice and yell loudly enough, the left, who views them as natural allies, would have to listen to it and would have to stop the crazy. So at some level, they have a chance to do something about it, and I would encourage them to do so and use the power they have to do that.
And there is the key word, though, Rick. I've only got 2 minutes left, but power. Power to do something, power to keep some kind of common sense, some decency, some morality. And many people that call this program or even send me notes and emails, where is the power for we the people to try to stay and maintain a decent society? Where is that power?
I would say that you have to get your county commissions and county supervisors, however you call your county boards, and have them say no. Went to the to HHS and say no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to have our public facilities turned into a gender experiment. We're going to protect our women. We're going to protect our girls. We're going to protect our boys, for that matter, from this crazy. And and they have to be willing to stand up, and the people in the community have to be willing to accept the fact that they're going to have some legal bills and fighting the fight. But if I were in Idaho, I would create a state constitutional amendment that made it illegal and declared, a man is a man, a woman is a woman.
Yep.
And I would do that constitutional amendment, and I would force it, and I would force the federal government to take it to the Supreme Court to try to overturn that. And I don't know what happens to the Supreme Court. I've lost all confidence the Supreme Court has any thread of rationality running through it, but there is but at least it delays the situation until smarter people get in charge, people who aren't crazy get in charge, and the best thing that happens is you get a court case that stops the whole process, and it takes 3 years for them to do anything, and then even if you lose the case, if you get the presidency in 2024, you overturn the whole policy and you end the policy. So we have to use the tactics the left used on us, and that is we have to be willing to sue. The people who have standing are the local communities. The local communities have to stand up for their own people, stand up for their own, the vulnerable in their society against this government intrusion that is insane.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, again, a blessing to have on my program Rick Manning, the president of Americans for Limited Government. My dear friend, have a good week. I'll look forward to next Monday. Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you. Wow. He tells it like it is, and I really respect him. Rick Manning, thank you very much. Hey, I know some folks that make food for you to enjoy, and they do it like it is. I mean, they really put forth a plate of food at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, my. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time, desserts. Oh, it doesn't make any difference what you like, what time of day. They are going to fill you up, and you're going to be treated with the nicest of people serving you at Denny's Restaurant. It's true. It's America's Diner. You stop in and see those good folks today. Thomas and the crew, 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. You know, I had a chat the other day when I got home with a gentleman that I have admired for his ability over the years, and that's Marcus Meeks. And he is, simply put, a great guitar player and teacher. Well, he's been in limbo for a couple of years, and he wants everybody to know that he is absolutely back and giving lessons. And the best way to get a hold of him is call the number, and he will serve you. I urge you to give him a jingle at 312-9093. He gives lessons every day, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., and he'll even give lessons to those before school in the morning if need be. I urge you to get a hold of him today. One of the very best, and believe me, he can teach any style of guitar, Monday through Thursday of every week. Please, I envy the people that are having the time to do it. I envy if I could go back and take guitar lessons again. I just got to find the time. Marcus Meeks, the number again, don't forget, is 312-9093. And don't look up the number in the book because that is not in effect. So get a hold of him today. Marcus Meeks, guitar lessons, 312-9093. This man knows music. Calls are welcome, and we're going to have one in just a moment. Stand by, because we're going to be visiting with Frosty Woldridge in just a minute, back in Golden, Colorado. Want to remind everybody, too, about Cameron Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my, life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. All of this and more for your safety and security. So please get a hold of them today. Call the number 436-4424 and make an appointment. They are dedicated and responsive to your needs at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really, really good people. Let's go to the phone line right now on Mondays, and we get a chance to talk to a man that, I'm just going to say this because I believe it, and there is no one on my program ever in all the many years that I've had this show that knows more about the absolute blatant anti-American attitude that's being thrust upon us with illegal aliens and the open borders, etc., than Frosty Woldridge. Good morning, Frosty. How are you?
Well, good morning, Zeb, and welcome back, and welcome back into the chair there. And really was a pleasure to work with Sharon. And for those of you who listen to our 1-hour programs Wednesdays concerning my forthcoming book, it was really a pleasure. And if possible, I'd like to have one more hour with you to really wrap up the book. And I'm now in the last week of the galleys and correcting it. As a matter of fact, I'm talking to the publisher today for the last 11 corrections that were just minor corrections, but the book will probably be published within the next 2 weeks. I'm also going to GoFundMe. You know, fellow Americans that are listening to this program across the country on the Zeb, Bell Show, this book really is going to deal with what your children face here in the next 29 years as we continue, if we continue, to add that next 100 million people from mass immigration. And the consequences and the ramifications, it literally covers everything. And so I'm going to go to GoFundMe to try to get, I'd like to get $100,000 in funds. And I'm hoping some rich person who really realizes what we're facing in this country comes up with that, because I will buy my way into the highest levels of network TV, 60 Minutes, NPR, PBS, you name it. I'm going to hire one of the finest PR firms in the country to do that. So that's my goal, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm really thankful that Sharon covered so much of the book, and I hope everybody learned a great deal from our conversations, and so hopefully we'll continue those, and again, if you have another extra hour on a Wednesday or something, or whenever, Zeb, I would love to wrap up the book, bring up all the solutions, the last 3 chapters have the solutions of what we can all do, and the key is what we can all do. And I always invite everyone, people say, well, I'm so small, I can't do anything. Well, the worst decision you can make is to feel that you can do so little that you do nothing at all. And in this case, it's going to take all of us to change the course of history. And if this book really hits like I think it's going to hit, then we could have a national conversation that's going to educate all the American people and force the mainstream media to deal with the fact that we cannot sustain this civilization with another 100 million people. So thank you, Zeb, and thanks Sharon for her fantastic and astute input when we were doing the program together the last several Wednesdays.
Yeah, and all I'll say quickly is call me after the show and we'll get some more lined up. I do want to talk a little bit about what's going on with this Biden administration. I have been following this, being gone for the last 4 weeks, and I am so sickened. I've got to choose the words that are acceptable on the radio to yet amplify how I feel. I am sickened. I am mad, I am frustrated, and I have a developing hatred for this administration that is choosing and giving more priority to people that are not citizens of this country, and hopefully never will be, but they're getting the priority, not Frosty or Zeb.
Well, that's correct. And for those of you who appreciate this, you can go to News with Views today. I have a piece on there called Killing the Keystone Pipeline. Are we being led by fools or idiots in Washington, D.C.? I've received a flurry of emails on that column alone because, first of all, Joe Biden has really passed the threshold of senility. He was on a TV program yesterday giving a speech, and I saw it. He completely lost his train of thought. He completely did not know how to pronounce names, even on the teleprompter. And then he said, and this is very telling, "Where am I?" And then he grabbed his notes and walked off the stage because he was totally incoherent. And so that's what's going on. And they are, if he doesn't have a teleprompter, folks, the man is unable to literally navigate reality at this point in time, and I sincerely, after watching, and I've watched more than just this one, this man has definitely passed, whether it's onset dementia or whether it's Alzheimer's or whether it's senility, he's almost 80 years old, or he's getting real close, I think 79 or 78. We're being led, and we have been fooled by an extraordinary movement there in Washington, D.C., to get this man elected when they knew he was not going to be able to fulfill the office itself. And the real crisis is, whereas Trump put Americans first and was doing really extraordinary work, whether it was with China and putting us on the top of the situation and our benefit, same thing with NAFTA with Mexico, this man is opening up the borders. He's closing down the Keystone Pipeline. And then he's opening up the borders to massive onslaught of this illegal invasion, and in representing them instead of representing us. And even Nancy Pelosi has got stimulus checks out for illegal aliens, for heaven's sake. So we've got a mess on our hands, and your exasperation, your anger, your frustration is exactly like mine, and I'm sure everyone listening that's using logic and rational thinking, we're all in the same boat right here, and at this point, we're pretty powerless.
Let me tell you something. This last 4 weeks, I had a chance to rub elbows and sit down and visit with people from all over the United States. And especially, I want to highlight Texas. I had a chance to visit with quite a few gentlemen from Texas, and their families were there in Arizona. And how would you feel, Frosty, if you knew, and you were a rancher on the Texas border, And every morning you had to get up, eat breakfast, and strap on either a 38 or a 357 and saddle a horse or get in your four-wheeled Wonder to go around the property to check on your cattle, etc. every day. But you had to pack that gun out of purely your safety and security because of all the illegals that have gone through the night, robbing, pillaging, and plundering everything on your place. And you have to be so careful looking over your shoulder 24/7. That's the situation with the open borders right now.
Well, that's exactly right. And, of course, I was down there. I interviewed those same ranchers, and I know. I literally got to drive around with them because they are packing 357s and 44s and you name it because they have to. And I also took pictures of all the trash. I've got unbelievable entire gutter trash everywhere. The average illegal brings in drops 8 pounds of trash in the desert there. It covers ravines. It's in the hills. It's in the gutter. It's in the gullies. It's in the mountains. It's everywhere because the plastic bottles, defecation by the millions of piles of defecation that don't break down there in the desert, the toilet paper everywhere, backpacks, and you name it. And this is what Joe Biden has been doing for 47 years. He's the reason for all of this, along with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. All these people in Congress have done nothing to secure those borders, and we're the ones that are paying for it. And so, yes, and I know the parents of Chris Egley, the kid that was there at one of the national parks on the border in Arizona, and he was killed by illegal alien drug runners, and I even visited the spot where he was killed, and he was a national parks ranger, for heaven's sakes. And yet that's what goes on down there, and again, we get to be the victims, and we're getting to pay for this, and Biden is putting illegal aliens first and Americans last.
I don't understand this. I mean, I had a great guest on. You might know the man. He's been on my program for years and years, and I really respect him. Rick Manning was on last hour with the Americans for Limited Government. And Rick and I were talking about this. Whatever happened, honestly, Frosty, to the power of the people? I don't want illegal aliens here. And with a wink and a nod, they are brought into our society at our expense. But the minute we say something, I'm called a bigot, I'm called a racist, whatever. No, I don't want them. I want the perpetration of our citizenry to get the best of everything the government should be providing for them, not for foreigners coming in under the title illegal aliens. Where's the power to the people to say no?
Well, that's the $64,000 question for those of you who remember that particular TV program. And here's the one thing that I'll bring up to everybody. It was 2 weeks ago now that you were down there in Arizona, but there was an ice storm that came in and just decimated all of Texas.
Yes.
Well, right now, and this is in my book, folks, there are 29 million people living in Texas. Okay, 29 million. And because of mass immigration, both legal and illegal, within 29 years, Texas is now, and you can look this up, you can document this because I've got it documented, Texas is on course to hit 54 million people. That's another 25 million more people in Texas. Now, Texas is a big place, but you got to have water, which they don't have. You got to have arable land, which is getting used up like crazy. And how do I know? Because I've bicycled across Texas 4 times on my tours across Texas, across the United States of America on a bicycle. So I know Texas, and I was stationed in San Antonio when I was in the Army. And I've been to every corner of Texas, Big Bend, you name it. Does anybody think that when Texas adds another 25 million people because of mass immigration, and they hit 54 million from the 29 million they are right now, and an ice storm hits, or there's no more oil, or some other unbelievable cataclysmic situation happens, how are they going to survive that? Is anybody thinking about that? And, of course, I deal with this in my book. And the answer is, if you think it was a catastrophe with, I think, 4 million people out of electricity in Texas just in the last week or so of that ice storm, can you imagine the complete chaos and human death toll, and this is Americans and Texans who are going to be dying or whatever when there's 54 million of them there in the state of Texas. I mean, the numbers are so huge, they're unmanageable. And this is all being done to us by those people, 535 of those senators and congressmen in the Washington, D.C., that are not doing their jobs. And so the only way we're going to be able to stop all this is we got to vote them out. But for some reason, we keep on voting incumbents in. And obviously, Joe Dementia Biden is one of them. He's been there in Washington, D.C. for 47 years, and the most things he's ever done is given speeches. Other than that, he hasn't done anything to deserve or merit any kind of honor whatsoever. And now, the poor man, I feel sorry for him. He is in a state of dementia and onset senility, and we're the ones going to pay the price.
You know, Frosty, I want you to elaborate on something, and I know you put it in your book, but I want you to go with my questioning here this morning. By bringing in 30 million, let's use that number, and I know the numbers could be even larger, 30 million illegal aliens, and just basically, like I said earlier, with a wink and a nod and a sign of a pen, they would be left here to become a voting force in this country. 30 million people can alter, change, and absolutely destroy anything that's on the voting documents, and they could have complete control over you and I.
You are correct. And again, I will bring out the fact that the Yale report really brought up the numbers of illegal aliens in this country, somewhere between 23 and 25 million. So, you know, and if they missed out a little bit and there's 30 million here, that's very possible, because I've heard those, those numbers in the past. But being a conservative person and want to document everything I do, I've got the Yale report, and it's at 25 million illegals. Now, you have to understand, if Joe Biden gives those illegals a complete amnesty and then their pathway to citizenship, each one of those 25 million can bring in 10 of their relatives.
Right.
10 of their relatives. And if you take 25 million and then you times 10, ladies and gentlemen, the American people will be a minority. And it's not, the Pew Research Center, that's in my book, the PewResearchCenter.org, has estimated that by 2042, you and I, the European Americans that were once 90% of this country, will now be 49% by 2042. That's only 21 years from now. If that doesn't frighten you, because here is the caveat to all of that. These people coming in from all these third world countries have left failed countries. They have illiteracy. They have lack of education. They don't think like Western culture minds do, like if the fence is broken, fix it. You know, I've been to all these third world countries. You know how they repair cars? If the car breaks down, they fix whatever was wrong with it and keep driving the car till the next thing breaks down, because they don't believe or they don't understand maintenance. And that's why third world countries are so backward. They can't pull themselves out of their situation. That's why Africa is such a living nightmare. India is the same thing, because third world thinking literally doesn't think about the future, doesn't think about maintenance, doesn't think about food, doesn't think about clean water. That's why, and this is a fact, you can look it up, in India right now with 1.3 billion people, 2,195 children die every day of dysentery or diarrhea or other waterborne diseases, and India can't and won't solve that problem. And that's the kind of people that are coming into our country, and when their numbers become so great, you will see the slums of India, the slums of Mexico, and I've seen the slums of Mexico. No one understands there's probably 2 million people outside of Mexico City living in cardboard boxes and doing their morning constitutional with their chickens. And yet those are the people that are coming to America. Zeb, do we think that we have a chance to survive that many poverty-stricken, illiterate people, and then their different worldview, their third world worldview? I can tell you, we're not going to survive this thing if we don't stop it.
Yeah, but and I've only got a minute left, but here's the caveat to what you just said. We are talking out in this United States of America about a problem with illegal aliens given a priority to come into this country. But yet, as we're speaking, you and I have been subjected to this problem in the past, especially in 2007 with the possible election of Barack Obama, when we spoke out, and the cancel culture at that time came after both of us and tried to get us eliminated. This is going to happen again. Anybody that speaks out for the benefits of the United States of America, their voices are being stilled.
They are being stilled, and it is exasperating to me. I have tried to get on 60 Minutes for the last 20 years now. In fact, I just sent them a new packet out. I've tried to get on NPR. I've tried to get on PBS. I've tried to get on major stations across the country. I've tried to personally talk with Leslie Stahl, Forrest Whitaker, right on down the line. And they are definitely suppressing voices like ours. The only thing, our only weapon in this suppression of the facts and the figures and rational thinking is that we stand on the integrity of the United States Constitution, and we are men of integrity. I'm a man of integrity. I am proud to say that I've made my parents proud. I don't have a police record. I've never been arrested. I've got a couple speeding tickets. I have been an exemplary American citizen my whole life. You will never read anything about me that they called us xenophobes, they called us racist. No, that doesn't work. I'm an American citizen. I respect all American citizens. I respect every race, color, and ethnic group on the planet. You can't take that away from me. What I have always said is that we are overpopulating ourselves and that illegal immigration is exactly what it is. It's illegal. It's against the law. It's against our Constitution. It's against our way of life. And so they don't have a leg to stand on. They don't have a podium to where they can crow, where Zeb Bell or Frosty are these nasty bad people. We are what America's all about: common sense, personal accountability, personal responsibility, and supporting the U.S. Constitution. I mean, am I right or am I right?
Absolutely.
Everybody listening to this broadcast is nodding your head. Yes. We make sense. We're common, average American citizens, and we want to preserve our country for our families and for our kids and for the future generations that are going to be here after we're gone.
Absolutely, and I appreciate your great summation there. I think the thing that I learned, if I didn't know it already, when I went on this last road trip down to Arizona, and the elbows of the people that I sat up next to and talked to and had a chance to share and receive their thoughts, people are mad. People are disgusted and people are discouraged. And with all that being said, the Biden administration in 39 days has come in with their edicts and their executive declarations of what they're going to do over or above what the people want. People are mad enough to change this, and the Biden administration or the Harris administration, they'd better watch their step.
Well, they surely better watch their step. Even Gavin Newsom right now, the recall on him and his total incompetence, but also his total corruption, is now being recalled. I think they've hit the magic number, and that there's going to be a vote in California. And for those of you who don't know California like I know California, I got to tell you, California is going to become a completely third world country by the time they get done, because they have somewhere in excess of 4 to 5 million illegal aliens. They have an underground economy that's absolutely usurping. Their schools are completely trashed because anybody that speaks English can't even go to a school there in Southern California because nobody speaks English, and they're teaching in Spanish, and that is a recipe for the disintegration of our country. And notice all those people coming in. What do? They step on the American flag. They raise all these other flags as if that's what's making this country work. I'm sorry, it's Old Glory and the U.S. Constitution is what makes this country so successful. Not the the Mexican flag, not the Nicaraguan flag, not the Honduran flag, not the Panama flag, not the Brazilian flag. It's called Old Glory, the Stars and Stripes. That's what made this country successful. If we lose that and continue to lose that, then we will lose our country. And that's why my book is so important, that everyone understands the reason and the rational understanding of what we're facing here in the next 29 years if we continue along this path.
I got to run and get a weather forecast on, Frosty, but I said this morning when I started the program, the great flag of the red, white, and blue of the United States of America, the colors that never run. God bless you, my dear friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Zip.
Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado. Thank you very much. And right now, we're going to go to the weather forecast. Weather forecast brought to you by our friends at Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. They've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. And I can tell you this much, they are busy right now getting everything ready for tax time. The very best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, bookkeeping services, all of this and so much more. You want to work with the best, you want to work with the professionals. That, of course, is Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. And right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
Welcome to the first day of March, and weather is going to be relatively mild. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today, a slight breeze out of the east, and a high near 44. Tonight, mostly clear skies, dropping down to 27. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 50 with an overnight low of 25. Pretty much the same for Wednesday. Sunny skies, 52, 56 for Thursday. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you very much, Gina, and brought to everybody by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And I know these folks, work with these folks, and they are the best at what they do. They are the professionals, with offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Want to also give a great big shout out. Caller, I'm going to be pressed for time. Hang on just a second. I got to get this in, and then I'll take your call, but it's going to be real short. Don't forget Patterson's Electronics at 421 East Main in Burley, with Curtis and Lorena and the whole staff. Oh, my goodness. Everything electronic, they've got it. And they can answer all your questions about home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all the different TVs. They've got everything right there to serve you. I mean, when it comes to electronics, you want to work with the best, and they can help you with the best. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. And again, the telephone number is 678-6997. Caller, I've got exactly 30 seconds. Real fast. Go. And they're not there.
What really disturbed me the most, that I've been disturbed in a long time, is the fact that these two little girls come to the border. She looked to be about 10, and the other about 7. They're going to try to tell us that they walked 2,000-3,000 miles.
Yeah.
They look like they just stepped out of the beauty shop.
You know, Keith,
in the world do you think how stupid can we be?
Well, I'll tell you what, you bring up a really good point, and I wish I had more time to elaborate on that. This phony and fictitious and absolutely fraudulent way that the news media is covering the story sickens me. First hour tomorrow, call, and we'll talk some more about that, Keith. God bless you, man. I appreciate your call. Thank you so much.
You bet.
All right. Got to run to the news. I'll be back in 7. Oh, good morning. Welcome back to hour number 3. Zeb at the Ranch on this Monday, March 1st. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley. Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, the best in tires and service to you. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Also want to mention mention right now, before we go to our guest, about our dear friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. They're located at 459 Overland in Burley. And when I say everything, like all your flooring, all your carpet, all your luxury vinyl, all your furniture, all your bedroom sets, I mean, the list goes on and on for the comfortization and the beautification of your home. Oh, my goodness sakes. Check out all the recliners. They've got the greatest inventory of recliners. I missed mine while I was gone for the last 4 weeks. And I'll guarantee you they've got everything right there for you. Please stop in and see Jeff and the crew today at 459 Overland in Burley, the very best serving you. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Right now we're going to go to the phone line. And I've had this gentleman on the program once before, but I was really anxious to get him back on the program today because he, like many of us, are having to put up with the absurdity and the stupidity of the cancel culture in this country. Good morning, Attorney Thomas Renz. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, sir?
Well, I'll tell you what, Tom. Can I call you Tom, or is that too informal?
Oh, no, you can call me anything but late for dinner.
All right, there you go, Tom. I am really concerned more so than ever before, Tom, about what's going on in this country. 39 days ago, the Biden administration took over, and in that 39 days, we're seeing a complete flip-flop of the values and the ethics and the morality in this country, and I don't know if we can ever get it back. Along with that, we're seeing a resurgence of the so-called cancel culture, of which I want you to speak about. If they don't like you, they're going to get you. What happened in your case?
Yeah, well, they don't like me. The problem is that when we tell the truth about what's going on with this COVID-19 nonsense, it makes it kind of hard for them to convince everybody to be terrified. So we went and testified before the legislature in the state of Ohio, licensed attorney testifying before a legislature, and they didn't like what I had to say, so they found some nonsense reason to try and censor me. And, yeah, it's just like what you guys are dealing with on the radio and, you know, any of the conservative people that are, you know, trying to, their podcasts and Facebook and this, you get into platform, it's the same stuff. Just, they don't want to hear what you have to say because it's a threat.
Yeah, but Tom, where are we in this country from your standpoint of not only having been attacked by these people, but you're seeing the depiction of a story that's playing out of canceling and tearing down, burning and looting statues of Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, the elimination of Abraham Lincoln, take their names off the schools. How do we stop this garbage?
Well, I'll tell you what. How we stop it for sure is a tough one. I can tell you that we have. So, you know, I'm fighting this COVID thing. I've been pretty darn busy with it, but this has kind of forced my hand. Now I have kind of no choice but to deal with some of this. So we're going to be looking at some legal action and what we can do about some of this because it's not acceptable. You know, ultimately, if we can't have an honest discourse about things in this country, we're lost. It's over. You know, free speech is critical. Free speech means free speech for everybody, not just for people that you agree with. And it's the people that you disagree with that it's most important to hear. I have no problem with the people who I disagree with speaking. I listen to Pelosi and some of these people in Congress talk all the time. They never shut up. You know, and I have no problem with that. But by the same token, they're going to have to deal with the fact that we also have free speech rights, and we can say what we want. So we do have to fight this, and we are going to win it.
Let me ask you this. In regards to COVID-19, I have felt ever since the beginning of this mess, and by the way, to my engineer, Sean, I've got a little bit of feedback here, if you would, please, that we are not being told the right information, or, on the other side of that nickel, we're not being allowed to ask the various questions. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, they have done everything they can to suppress and lie about this that you can imagine. In fact, we got a hearing in federal court tomorrow where we're asking for a temporary restraining order against the government continuing to lie about its statistics.
Okay, now that being said, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? What are we not being told, or what is being fabricated to us?
So, a lot of things. The first of which is the number of dead. So, right now, in my glorious state of Ohio, Ohio has registered more deaths from COVID-19 than 11 of the top 20 most populous countries in the world. Does that make sense?
No.
No, it doesn't. So here's what they've done. Back in March, the CDC issued guidance for counting deaths of COVID-19. It is every cause of death in America is determined the same way using the 2003 Coroner's Handbook. Every single one. Get hit by a bus, you die of a disease, doesn't matter. It's the same way, except for COVID-19. COVID-19 they created a special rule for. And in that rule, it says that this is going to cause more deaths to be called COVID deaths than not, right? So the result is that anybody that died of the flu is probably categorized as COVID-19. That's why the flu disappeared this year. They've just lied and lied and lied about the death counts. And what they've done is they've done it in a way, because they issued a government rule, what that did was that allowed the fact checkers to call people like me a liar and censor us. Well, the thing is we didn't lie. They're lying in their fact checks. The real lie is the rule that was created by the federal government that allows them to mislead people on the number of deaths. If we use their current rule, the number of deaths is probably accurate. But the problem is their current rule was designed to scare us all. It was designed to be a lie. So death counts is first. The other is PCR testing. PCR testing is it literally, in the instruction manual for a PCR test, any instruction manual you look at, it says this test should not be used to diagnose COVID-19. It says that because the test by itself cannot diagnose COVID-19. It cannot diagnose an active infection. All it can do is tell you that there's particles of the virus RNA in your system. That's it. It doesn't do it. So with these drive-through tests, cases, that's not real. It's a lie. It's there to mislead and to scare people.
But to whose benefit, Tom, and I don't mean to sound naive when I ask this question, but to whose benefit and how is it a benefit for the lying and the distortion about COVID-19?
Yeah, so follow the money, right? You got to follow the money. There are a ton of people that own a lot of interest in anything related to medicine and pharmacology. What's happening is a lot of the big tech companies that are censoring people like me for speaking out about this, they also own stock or large portions or even whole companies that are into healthcare. So they sell the PPE, or they sell the medicines, or they sell the vaccines, or they sell whatever with one company, and then they censor you with another to make sure that you can't speak out against their company. Now, that's as illegal as can be in my mind, but it hasn't been challenged yet. That doesn't mean that there may be a challenge forthcoming, though.
I could never understand, and you as a legal authority, maybe you can help me a little bit, but I could never understand how and why closures of businesses were observed and adhered to when other sicknesses, like a variety of a flu strain that might sweep the nation and cause uncountable deaths and misery, your doors and your business are still open. What's going on here?
It's all part of the marketing fear campaign for COVID, right? So COVID's a real disease and it has killed people, and I've lost someone close to me, very close to me, with this. So it is real. The problem is it's far less. Even though as someone who lost someone very close to me, I will tell you this is far less dangerous than just about a very long list of other diseases that we've done nothing for. Original SARS had a death rate that was, and it just hugely over this. So you're looking at 9-point-some% death rate versus a 0.25 death rate. So, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But you can't scare people into buying your products and to doing what you want them to do if you don't have something to scare them with, right? So you got to scare people. You got to put out this information, this misinformation, and we actually have the connections. We've been over this time able to put together who owns what and how the money flows, and that's the thing. If you really want to know what's happening, follow the money. And like I said, the small businesses are getting put out of business. The big businesses are getting bigger, and that's why the biggest businesses are pushing this.
But when you look at the economic chaos that's being caused in this country, look at the city of New York. I know New York fairly well. I've been there many, many times. And right there in front of Radio City Music Hall, normally on a good night or a good afternoon in New York during the weekday, you can hardly move up and down that street, whether it's the congestion on the sidewalk or on the streets themselves. It's a ghost town, and people are leaving in masses. How can that be a benefit to anybody financially?
Well, I mean, it's certainly not to the people who are living there, is it? But you got to understand the financial benefit. Look at the stock market. Look at the money that Silicon Valley has made throughout this. Look at the money that the bonuses that some of the biggest health executives are going to get from their 2020 year. It's not everybody that's making money. It's some people that are making a lot of money at the expense of everybody else. But those people just happen to be people who are able to play this. I mean, it really is an insidious thing. Listen, it's real. But if we wanted to do what was right, we would have passed a bill that helped to protect our seniors and people who are at risk. We would have allowed the rest of us to get back with our life. The case fatality rate for people my age and our early 40s that are in good health is virtually non-existent. I literally have a better chance of being hit by lightning than dying from COVID.
Right.
And so, if we want, what we should have done, if you talk to actual doctors and public health experts that aren't in this for the money and aren't getting, their paycheck's not on the line, what they're saying is that a targeted approach is the right way to do this. So you got a disease out there that does impact, some of the elderly and the at-risk people. So pass a bill that helps them, protect them, but how are we doing that? Instead, what we do is we've got people like Cuomo who puts a bunch of sick people around the elderly people and lets them die. I mean, we isolate our elderly and make them die alone. What we're doing is absolutely horrible, and we're not doing it to protect the people who are at risk. So what are we doing? Ultimately, when you strip this away and you say nothing that we're doing is actually making sense, you got to start asking the question, why are we doing it? And then it just keeps coming back to following the money.
I just cannot understand that we the people, the first three words of our Constitution, we've lost our backbone. We've lost our ability of standing up and saying, no, I'm not going to close my business down. No, I'm going to go to church on Sunday and nobody's going to stop me. I just don't understand why we are so accepting of something that is killing our country.
Well, listen, I think you hit that nail right on the head. We got a lot of spineless people. You got to have courage. And I think the real question you got to ask yourself is, being locked up in your house and away from your families, told that you have to wear a mask, told that you can't do anything. I mean, are you really living? You're so afraid of death that you're willing to quit living to be, for what? Why? This isn't going away. COVID is here to stay. It's never going to be gone. So what are we waiting for? And, frankly, if you're that afraid of death and you want to stay at home, do it. Do it. By all means, I support freedom. But you got to have the courage to allow for freedom to exist. That's the thing. And if you're willing to give up your freedom for security, you'll have neither. I think someone a lot smarter than me said something to that effect. And that's kind of where we are.
Tom, what's your opinion as a person that's looked at this? You've kind of hovered over it at 30,000 feet and kind of dissected what's right, what's wrong, what's illegal, what's illegal, and who's making the money off of this thing. But what about the vaccine distribution? Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm finding it very hard to believe that the vaccine distribution could be this mismanaged. Do you think I'm wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. Let me tell you where I am on vaccines. I am not anti-vax. My family has been vaccinated. I'm okay with it. I will not get the COVID vaccine. I'm working with a ton of doctors, and they're all telling me the same thing. Do not get it. I don't know, I'm not a scientist where I can explain to you all the intricacies of the biochemistry involved in this, but there are a lot. And basically the gist of it is that this was put out very quickly. I can read the EUA, which I did, and I can tell you that the testing was inadequate at best. And so you've got basically this experimental vaccine out there. I think a lot of people know that it's an experimental vaccine. Plus, every time you get it, people are sick for 3 days afterwards in the best case scenario. And, there's been, I don't know how many thousands of reported deaths. They keep saying the CDC has disavowed every one of those. They said, nope, none of these are to do with the vaccine. But, people who are pretty healthy get it and then they die. And so, okay, well, if you say that that's coincidence, I suppose that's fine. But, we've had thousands of coincidences at this point. I'm not getting it. And I think that the distribution problem is less a distribution problem and more of a people being reticent about getting something experimental. I mean, this was put out in a few months. It normally takes, a 10-year approval process with more testing than we know what to do with. So you've got all these vaccines that they keep pushing out that are experimental. Meanwhile, you have a number of people who have been using alternative forms of treatment or treatments that the FDA and the people who are making money off this are disavowing, but none of those people are dying. None of those people are getting sick. They're all doing well with these alternative treatments. And so I think that there's an issue there where people are just questioning this. And like I said, I'm not anti-vax, but this one's a little bit scary to me. And, it's just not something that I'm going to do.
Tom,
the more that my doctors are researching it, the more questions they're coming up with about it. And I'd love to have those answered, but you can't even ask the questions, or suddenly you're censored everywhere for having the audacity to ask a question about the safety and efficacy of something that they've lied when they said it was thoroughly tested and safe. That's absolute nonsense. I've read the EUA. It was not thoroughly tested.
Tom, let me ask you this. Let's say that there are three segments in our society. You've got your juveniles, then you have your middle-aged on down to your first family type age brackets, etc. And then you have the seniors. And the seniors are the most susceptible to this COVID-19. Would you say that the vaccine is a moral necessity for them first and above everybody else? Or are they also on the list of don't get the vaccine, in your opinion?
So, again, I'm not a doctor on this. And I really, I can only tell you what the doctors I'm working with, and there's quite a few of them, have told me. There are serious considerations with the vaccine. I know that there are certain interactions that the vaccine can have with certain other drugs. So if you're on this type of drug, you've got to be very careful if you take the vaccine. I do urge anybody that's getting it to ask their doctors about interactions and other things. There's certain people that should not get it. Now, I can't tell you who, and I can't tell you why, because I just can't give medical advice. I'm not confident to do it. But I can tell you that there's absolutely no question, after extensive conversations with a lot of doctors in my mind, that you need to ask these questions first. And if your doctor can't give you an answer or blows off the question, then your doctor isn't doing their job. Because the doctor's job is to make sure that you have truly been informed so that you can give consent. And if they can't make sure that you're truly informed, then you got to ask yourself, why in the heck would I do this? So what I think you ought to do is, if you're a senior, if you're looking at getting this, ask your doctor the hard questions. Ask them about interactions. Ask them whether or not you should be tested because you might be someone who should not get this because you have this condition or that condition. I can't make those decisions for anybody, but what I can tell you is that if your doctor's not willing to even answer those questions or look at those, then to my mind, they're not doing their job.
One final thought, Tom. I've only got 2 minutes left in this segment, but I want you to expand a little bit about Anthony Fauci. This man has turned around in circles so many times on his philosophy and his beliefs regarding COVID, mask wearing, etc. I personally give no credence to this man. I think he's nothing more than a charlatan. What are your thoughts?
I think that's the kindest way that I could describe him. I mean, one of two things must be true at this point, right? So this guy has changed his position 10,000 times. So either he's the worst and dumbest man on the planet, so why are we listening to him? Or he's a liar, so why are we listening to him? I do not understand how anybody could spend this many time changing their positions on everything and still be looked at as a credible anything. I mean, this guy has literally, he flip-flops more than a politician. And yet we're trusting our health with him? It's insanity to me.
The latest observance from him is to possibly not wear one mask, possibly not wear just two, but possibly wear three. I tried that after I heard it on the news, and first of all, I couldn't get any fresh air. I felt like I was going to pass out. The idiocy of what's going on with COVID is still on the carpet, and it's a stain that they can't seem to mop up. Is this thing going to go away in the future, or like you said, is it always going to be with us?
Well, COVID will be with us. To my mind, there is no way on this planet I will continue to live like this forever. I will continue fighting until I've won or can't fight anymore. The people with me are doing the same, and those numbers are growing exponentially. We have a lot of people that are starting to stand up and say enough is enough. And I want to urge people to check out Ohio Stands Up and Make Americans Free Again, and support us, help us, get involved. We've got to have people fight. Ultimately, we the people have to say hell no on this.
Absolutely.
And it's not just enough to say no, it's got to be hell no.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you that as long as we've got people, 3 masks, I'm going to do some breaking news for your audience. I need oxygen. If I don't breathe, I die. So you're right. If you put 50 masks on, nothing's going to get out, but nothing's going to get in either.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to shock Fauci, and I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure if I don't breathe, I die.
Attorney Thomas Renz, you are welcome here anytime, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on our show. We'll be in touch and have you back. Thank you.
Thank you, son.
All right, sir. Attorney Thomas Renz, and I say that I agree with everything he said this morning. I think this thing has just absolutely got out of hand, and those that are making money are. We're going to take a little break and send it back over to Sean, and he's going to handle it for about 3-4 minutes, and then I'll come back, and Dog Days with Deb Hines coming up in just a few minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, my goodness sake. You know, the hardest part about getting back into the saddle of being gone for a while is trying to remember everything. And I know, I'm getting old. But all the segments and all the people's names and everything else. Well, I didn't forget this lady because I've known her for a long time. Deb Hines, Minidoka Animal Control, and it's time for Dog Days. Good morning, Deb. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm tired, and I'm old, and I love warm weather. That sums it up.
Hey, don't tell me to push that old button, honey. I got a birthday coming up.
Well, happy pre-birthday. What is going on in the world of dogs this morning? I mean, I would hope that you would get on the air and say maybe you didn't have any dogs, but it sounds like from our conversation we had earlier this morning, you've been chasing some puppy dogs.
Yes, I have. Male or female? Okay. Yeah, we just inherited another one.
Oh, my.
A beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, red border.
Okay. And tell us more about the dog.
Well, they found him running, and they brought him in. I don't know that much about him. But anyway, he might be next week Because I've got you some dogs for this week.
All right, let's listen to them.
Some good ones.
All right.
Okay, these I know about. One of them is Dino.
Okay.
He's a gray and white 2-year-old husky.
Okay.
He loves other dogs. He's super good on a leash, which scares me. I don't know how he is with cats. That's the only variable in my whole life with him right now. But he loves everybody. He loves to run and play with other dogs. He loves to be with his people. He does know some basic commands. So he's a good little guy.
Let me ask you this, Deb. When you say he's a gray and white husky, and I shouldn't even say this to you because I know this goes through your mind every time you get a dog, but why the value of the husky breed? Why would somebody be so negative and not take care of this dog?
I don't know. And the thing is, he was caught running. He was found on Canal Road out here at 200. Just floating down the road.
Oh, my.
Why? I don't know, because these are... And you know me. If you're going to spend this much time with an animal, why don't you want it back?
Yeah, really.
If this dog knows basic commands, you spent time with them, and you and I both know that, man. Because it's not that fun and easy to train anything.
Absolutely. And, you know, the value of the husky, my dad used to have a husky when I was a young man back in Wisconsin, and they're beautiful, and boy, they can make a perfect family dog. They are very protective.
Yes, they are, and that's one of the things I really like about these guys, is that they are very much into let me help you, let me love you, and protect you.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is Dino, but what about the next dog that you've got?
Okay, the next one I have, her name is Paris.
Okay.
And she's only 11 months old. She's a German Shepherd, spay female.
Mm-hmm.
She's light tan with black highlights, and she's really a light tan. Oh, she's pretty. But she's house-trained. She's good on a leash, good with other dogs, kids, and cats. Loves to play. Now you're going to love this one. The reason that she was owner surrendered is because the lady has animals, all sorts of farm animals.
Mm-hmm.
This dog does not bother any of the farm animals. Unfortunately, she started playing with their lambs, and she was playing too rough and killed them.
Oh, my.
I have nothing else to say, Zeb. Nothing at all.
Well, it sounds to me like Paris, I think you called her, sounds like it would be another great family dog. And, you know, I'll say this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when you take dogs like Dino, the white and gray husky, or Paris, the German Shepherd, if they come into a family, you could not ask for more security and a better babysitter. Would you agree with that?
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Okay.
I think, and that's the other thing. Now, neither one of these dogs is all that old, honestly. You know, they're still young enough that they'll revamp and adapt. But, again, this one incident, and you're going to dump the dog.
Yeah, really.
You can't figure out how to get that animal to not do that anymore. They're not stupid. These are good dogs. They're smart.
Absolutely. And give up a home situation to a beautiful animal like that, it's really sorrowful. We've got a call, Deb, with a comment.
My heart.
Absolutely. We've got a caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air, please.
Hi, Zeb. I've got a question for her that may seem kind of maybe stupid in a way, but I want to ask it anyway. Do you ever get any St. Bernard puppies or St. Bernard dogs into the shelter?
I get St. Bernard crosses all the time. St. Bernard and Great Pyrenees.
A full breed.
I never get purebred.
No, purebred.
I've only had one purebred St. Bernard in here, and the lady was here the same day to get it.
Do you do you keep track of people hunting for certain dogs on a list or anywhere? If you get one, do you call them?
Yes, we do. So if you'd like to call the shelter, we'll get you on our want list, is what we call it.
Oh. Okay, I'll do that. What's your number at the shelter?
208-438-2200.
Thank you, young lady.
Thank you, sir, for your call. You know, we mentioned this one time on the program, Deb, that there are people out there that would love to hear you get on the program and say, well, I've got this little poodle, or I've got this Cocker Spaniel, or I've got this Husky, or I've got this German Shepherd, and find out that it's a family-type dog and house-trained, leash-trained, whatever. Boy, I mean, all they have to do is just call over there at 438-2200, and like you said, put their name on a wish list, and that's the best way to find a good dog for their home.
Yeah, because I do get those guys in. It's not very often, but I do get them. Like, I had a guy call me and ask me if I had a little, I can't even remember what he was asking for. Oh, a little healer.
Uh-huh.
I got asked, do you have healers? I said, I don't have one right now, and I'll be blessed. I got one in the next day, and the day after that, he took it home.
I'll be. Well, now, quickly, before I run out of time in this segment, talk to us a little bit about your partnerships over there with Wagon Tails Rescue.
Okay, Wagon Tails Rescue is my partner for spay and neuters. They help us with ours. They have a program where you can get your cats or your dogs spayed or neutered, and it'll only cost you $25. And she's helping me raise money for just about everything we need at the shelter. So this is a good group. These are great people. And like me and you, they're definitely dog lovers. That's our first and only concern.
Absolutely. Deb, I want to go over and highlight these dogs one more time. We've got Dino, that's a gray and white husky, and he loves other dogs. He's leash trained. And then we've got Paris, an 11-month-old German Shepherd, spayed female, that's house trained, both of which would make great family dogs. Anything you want to add to those dogs?
Nope, just get a hold of me because their adoption fee is set low. I want them in a home. I don't want them here.
Absolutely.
And I would love to say that they went home today.
There you go. And give us the number and the location and the times that you're open.
Okay, it's 208-438-2200. We're at 50 West, 200 South, and if they GPS it, you got to flip it. You got to put 200 South, 50 West, or you'll end up in a sequel. And we're here Monday through Friday, 8 to 1, and Saturday, 8 to noon. And if you're coming from out of town and you can be here close to those times and we need to stay a few minutes longer, we will do that.
All right. Deb Hines, Minidoka Animal Control, with a couple of real gems over there this morning. Thank you so much, Deb. Look forward to next Monday. God bless you, and thanks for all you do.
And thank you, Zeb. You have a good week.
I will. Thank you very much. Boy, those two dogs that she talked about really sound like you ought to check on those. A beautiful gray and white husky and that German Shepherd. Oh, my. I just don't understand how all of a sudden somebody can lose or not want custody anymore of these dogs. My goodness sakes, they sound like excellent dogs for a family situation. By the way, I got a note in the mail from Doreen McMurray, and if you're tired of the wind, why don't you plant a row of trees this spring, and you can select the best location for your windbreak and everything. The seedling tree sale is provided by the Cassia and Minidoka Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and you can call Doreen McMurray, and her number is 312-5556. Once again, that number, 312-5556. Right now, it's time for the weather. And you know what? I think Sean would agree. This is probably the first time in years that I've ever been on time for the weather this hour. Hey, Scarrows Meats brings us the weather, and they're located at 331 North Road, Jerome. Telephone number to call, 324-7657. Or you can go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Don Scarrow and his staff, I mean, we're talking the most delicious of meats for you, your family, any and every occasion. Whether it might be the marinated pork ribs, or whether the tri-tips, or the hams, the bacons, all the different flavors of bacons, the sausages, the bratwurst. Oh, I'm so hungry right now. You get a hold of them today. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
Welcome to the first day of March, and weather is going to be relatively mild. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Expecting sunny skies for today, a slight breeze out of the east, and a high near 44. Tonight, mostly clear skies, dropping down to 27. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 50 with an overnight low of 25. Pretty much the same for Wednesday. Sunny skies, 52, 56 for Thursday. That's a look at your weather for Zebeth Reyes.
Appreciate it, Gina. Thank you. And the weather brought to you again by Don Scarrow and the staff at Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. And it is so true. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. I've got an open format here for the next couple of minutes, and I would love to have you give me a call. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. One thing I wanted to say is that, I was gone for almost 4 full weeks, and it was a real pleasure to go on that road trip for many reasons, one of which was, of course, my wife's health. And she's doing much, much better, and had a chance, like I said earlier in the first hour, to visit with some excellent doctors, and they provided a lot of help to her. And I just want to say, on a positive note, this trip was absolutely beneficial. While we were gone, however, within that 39-day window that I've been talking about since early this morning, 39 days of the Biden administration and what they are doing to change through their executive orders, etc., change the complete complexion of America. I'm an old man. I'm 73, soon to be 74, and I had a chance to visit with a lot of people that are within that age bracket, and their animosity towards Biden and what they're doing to hurt them is absolutely inexplicable. And a lot of the words they used I can't use on the radio. We all have a short period of time on this earth. For those of us that are seniors that have paid into society and tried to help society for the younger generations, and now living on incomes that you've had to really beg, borrow, and steal and work hard and try to save and scrimp and everything, and then all of a sudden have governmental regulations and controls that are literally taking the hand and putting it in your pocket and taking your money, and in many cases the food out of your mouth, or the medicine away from seniors, it just makes me boiling mad. 39 days, and we're seeing energy costs skyrocket like we talked about in the first hour. We're seeing illegal aliens that are coming into this country and given preference over us, the citizens of this country. And then the assault on free speech. But the other thing, too, that was brought up to me while I was on that 4-week road trip, they're taking away and assaulting the Second Amendment to where they want to get our guns and make us all slaves to their wickedness without being able to protect ourselves. And when it comes to senior citizens, all of us should have the right to protect ourselves. And then this Equality Act that we talked about earlier. On Wednesday, we are going to be starting a brand new segment on this program. And I'm going to say this up front. I make no apologies and will make no apologies for the content of that segment. The segment is going to be called, Why Not God? Now, the reason I came up with that is these Looney Tunes that are now running this country and the millennial generation that has got away from anything biblical and or church-going, it's probably time for them to have an awakening like all of us and say, wait a minute, we've tried a lot of the garbage. Now let's go back to the basics. Why not God? I have asked a dear, dear friend to come on this program and be a part of that segment, and that's Pastor Alex Lissau in Burley. I've known Alex for a long, long time, and believe me, with his principles at being a United States Marine and also a pastor, I am looking forward to having him come on the program and talk about all subjects. We are not going to back up and go, oh, gee, maybe we shouldn't say that. We might hurt someone's feelings. If your feelings are hurt, get a Band-Aid. We're not going to back up, and we're going to talk about things that absolutely are important to what the Bible tells us versus what government is trying to do and tell us and how to act. We're going to not pull any punches. And if somebody's offended by what we say on the program, poor baby. It's going to be at 10:06 on Wednesdays, right here on Zeb at the Ranch. And like I said, it's going to be called Why Not God? And you certainly have a right to your opinion, but don't forget, so do I. And we're going to cover a lot of things in that bracket with my dear friend, Pastor Alex Lissau. So it should be, and will be, I think, very interesting. We've got some time right now. I'd like to hear from you, so give us a jingle at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the stories, as a matter of fact, that we're going to highlight and feature first and foremost is this, and it is, idiocy of this Equality Act. And it's so sick and so perverted and going to be so disgusting and distasteful and dangerous for women. I could not believe that the Equality Act, H.R. 5, it is now going to allow individuals that call themselves girls, even though they happen to be transgender men, they are going to be forcing their way into locker rooms of their choice, maybe with your daughters. And this is absolute insanity, and it must be repealed. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning again. You're able to still take nourishment?
Yeah, I am, Keith. Real fast. I'm running out of time. What can I do for you?
Okay. You know, I'm 83 years old. I'm just 10 years older than you are. But if I just had my Social Security and my wife's Social Security, it would amount to less than $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were really careful in January to see just how little we could get by with. And at the end of the month, we figured it out that it was $2,600. So I've got to be able to come up with $600 just to meet the expenses, and I don't have any debt. How can you, if they increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, how in the world are we on Social Security going to be able to survive?
Well, I don't see a way. I mean, they don't care. The Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of the United States, the Kamala Harrises, the Joe Bidens, the Chucky Schumers, they don't care. They live in an insulated world where they have drivers pick them up and take them to their respective meetings. They have no idea where the meat came that's on their plate or where the vegetables came from. They have no idea about living in the real world. They have no idea about locking the doors at night and hoping and praying that somebody doesn't break in and molest or murder you. Well, they have no idea about what it's like to meet a payroll. They have no idea about what it's like to drive to work and try to have enough money after that to buy the kids new shoes. I am so damn mad at the stupidity of politicians. You've got me started now, and I'm not going to quit.
Well, good for you, because these things need to be addressed. It's just a tragedy that the old people are going to have to pay.
Well, you know,
I mean, pay dearly.
Yeah, the fixed incomes
rate is going to go out of sight. I will guarantee you.
I certainly have so much feeling and so many warm thoughts about our seniors and what they've done for this country, and then to get slapped in the face with the evil of this Biden administration. Again, Keith, I wish I had more time, but you can look at the clock. I've got to run. Thank you so much for your call this morning. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Want to remind everybody about the 7 locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, 7 locations that really care. You know they've got the best in tires. You know they've got the best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. And you know they've got the best of people. Man, you pull in, they come at a high lope and say, how may we help you? And that's exactly great service for you and your vehicle. Stop in today and see James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Don't forget all the tires, all the different tread designs for all vehicles at the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run, and our Bible verse for today is from Isaiah chapter 33, verse 22. For the Lord is our judge, our lawgiver, and our king. He will care for us and save us. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06 up at the ranch, where we always say the way things were, the way things ought to be. And, of course, the 4 words that mean the most to me: in God we trust. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you much.